Don't you love that?
Yeah. All right. Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to this talk. This is going to be all about Mercury retrograde. We're looking at this from a human design perspective, and we are going to look at it from an astrological perspective. And we're even going to throw in some tarot here as well to see how it's going to affect all of us. So with me, you have seen before, especially those of you that came to the winter solstice, I have an amazing guest today, Denise from Human Design with Denise, who is a a dynamic human design expert. And when I say expert, I mean absolutely an expert. She is brilliant at what she does. For those of you that love the human design oracle cards that I use, Denise is the creator of those. And I'm super, super chuffed to have her here. So Denise, please tell people about yourself, say hi, and tell them where they can find you and where that what the name of your channel is.
Well, thank you. I hope I can live up to that big that big introduction because it's beautiful. Thank you. Basically, HD with Denise Mathew. That's where my channel is. I have a website, denisemathew.com. I have some freebies for human design on there that you can download if you want. I've been doing human design for about 7 years time, and I think I'm pretty much addicted. And I think it's like this passion that gets greater and greater all the time because I do know how important it is of a system to really shift your reality in that you start to actually, it's all about love and self-love. And I think that that's something we could all use more of. So that's who I am.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for doing this talk. I really, really appreciate it. And I know people are going to get so much out of it. And I have to say as well, what I've learned about human design specifically from you has been life-changing, especially the wait for the answer, don't just dive in, has been invaluable for me. And I've been using that now for about 3 years with really amazing results. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so we're going to get into it. Mercury is going retrograde in the sign of Gemini. So Mercury is at home in Gemini from the 29th of May right through to the 22nd of June. This, I call him the cosmic dancer, right? Because he's always back and forth. And, you know, we're really going to feel this one because it is in, you know, Mercury is in his home sign. And more importantly, there's a whole bunch of other things that are taking place around it. So obviously, Denise is going to talk about the human design aspect of this, things that we might need to know and might need to be aware of. Now, obviously, Mercury is also going to come into the square with Neptune, which is already kind of happening. But we're going to get a double dose of that, and it's going to be quite powerful. And what obviously what we need to consider there as well is Neptune is in Pisces, so it's in an energy that it's familiar with. So Neptune is very strong right now, and obviously Mercury being in the sign of Gemini is also very strong right now. So they're kind of having this cosmic dust up and creating this really powerful and actually dynamic tension in a lot of ways that we down here, us mere mortals, are definitely going to be feeling. One of the things that I will be talking about here as well is we're going to touch on the eclipse, and we're also going to talk about some of the other transits that come off the back of that. So what we have here, or what I have here, are some tarot cards, right? So as you guys know me, I never read reversals, but there is a reason, there is a method to my madness of the magician being upside down. Why? Because he's gone Ori. Why? Because he represents the planet Mercury in the tarot, and he's going retrograde. So it makes total sense that he would be upside down, right? Then we've got the Lover's card, which literally represents the sign of Gemini. And then we also have the Hanged Man, which represents the Neptunian and Piscean energy as well. So this is the kind of thing, if you were to read this as a tarot spread, I would literally say to someone, be careful, because you're not getting exactly what you see. You're not getting exactly all of the picture, and you might have to wait for the information that's coming forward before you make a choice. One of the other things that I've talked about previously as well, the Lover's card doesn't just represent love and relationships, it also represents our choices and our options, the things that are actually available to us, the things that we might have to choose between. And very often, its direct opposite, the devil, is what we end up at when the choice that we made in the lovers has either gone awry or we've given our power away to it. And the really interesting thing about this is, if you've been watching me long enough, you'll know this. The lovers card is number 6 and the devil card is number 15. 1 and 5 gives you 6. So these are literally direct, or I should probably put it like that actually. And if you look at the motifs on there, very, very similar energies, right? So you've got a union that's blessed, or a decision, or options, or paths that are blessed either by the devil or by an angel. And what it becomes is really down to the choices or the decisions that you make, given the information that you have available to you. So Denise, talk to us about the Mercury retrograde and human design, please.
Well, I mean, I think the thing about when you talk about Neptune and Mercury too, the other thing is that, so I heard this and I thought this was actually a really nice analogy, was that you might think you know all the information or the answers, just basically what you've already said, but you may not have all the details. And so in other words, maybe don't jump on exactly what you think you know, and maybe wait for some clarity before so that's like a big deal with the Neptune. The key thing that I think is kind of interesting is that Neptune just in, I think, the beginning of May, I don't have the exact date, but it actually moved into the gate 36, which we talked about in the solar,
Winter solstice.
the winter solstice. Exactly, the gate 36, the greener grass. And so what's happening now is we have the, I'm just glancing over at transits because I have my transits here just because I'm not going to remember on my own for certain, but we have it sort of activating a full channel. So there is going to be connection between Mercury and Neptune throughout this Mercury retrograde, because in human design, we have these things called channels. And what it is like, it's a full energetic, you could say and sometimes people will explain it as like a quantum being activated, as in the energy is activated. This energy is activating a manifestation center and also an emotional center. So when we think about an emotional center, what this says is that we can be emotionally charged through these transits of Mercury and Neptune, sort of coming together, that emotional aspect of it. That would be the gate 35. That would be the woman on top of the, basically, I mean, you have all the cards, but it's the lady that's on top of the paper airplane. And it talks to the concept of the 3 themes that we're going to be seeing the most through Mercury retrograde, and they will change as the retrograde goes on, is we're originally going to start out with the gate 12, but I'll talk about the 35 because I've already started talking about it. It does talk about a line energy, or an energy that talks to the concept of how can we improve ourselves through this experience? So there is this level of wanting to get better at something. And when we look at the gate 35, it's got to be exactly. Those two go together. So it's got to be that ultimate experience that gives us that bettering of ourselves in some way. So that could be the impetus of what we feel within this retrograde. But there is also that 36 saying, I want something new. I want something new. Get me something new. And you look at 2020 and the way it's been, the lockdowns and all those kind of things. And I mean, some people are still in lockdown, me, one of them, and some people are out and some people are kind of in and out. They're not sure where they're going to be. I know that, so it's this hunger for something different, this hunger for, let me get out and experience something new. And you already know that, that was something that was imprinted within the solstice, the winter solstice. So this is kind of like Neptune is activating it, and Neptune won't be in there for too long because it will go retrograde, and then it will go back into the gate 22, which is all about grace under fire and exactly creating for creation's sake, doing your own thing, individual energy. We also have the 12, which is in a connection to the gate 22, but exactly, caution, which is taking your time to be social and those kind of things. But the biggest things that we have are the gate 35. And that's, like I said, that experience. I want to get out, a hunger. It's a deep hunger to get something new. We call the gate 35 and the 36, there's collective energy. And when we talk about collective energy, we're talking about the energy that is throughout the world. It's all about how we talk about things. There's a key word for collective energy, and it's called sharing, right? So when you have a lot of collective energy in your body graph, or like, for your human design, or in the air, in the transits, there's a lot of talking. What you might have noticed, I don't know if you have, but I didn't certainly notice because I was really watching the transits, was that the last couple of weeks we've had what's considered a lot of individual energy, where the sun was going through individual energy. Now, individual energy is that in the now moment, this individual, I am who I am. I'm not part of the group. I don't need to be part of the group, but I want to be myself. But sometimes I want to be in the group and be myself in the group. So it's this idea of, I need to be authentically who I am, and I need to bring that different kind of thing to whatever. This is the mutation that comes into the collective. So we have the collective, which is, this is the patterns, this is what we do. It's always the same thing. And the bus comes at this time, you get on the bus, and that's what the collective does, right?
Yeah.
So they keep the pattern, they keep the fire going. The individual brings a spark to the fire and says, oh, I have a new fire for you. And then the collective tend to the fire, you could say. And then you have tribal energy, which is really what we've built most of our infrastructure on. It's this concept of, let's support the people. So individual energy is the key word for that, is empower. I feel empowered by self, by my individuality, by my authentic self, by being who I am. And I empower you automatically by being who I am.
Yeah.
That's how you feel empowered, and it spreads. And then you have the last, like I said, tribal, and that's all about support. So in the Mercury retrograde, we have the gate 12, which is individual energy. So we're talking about individual energy, talking about myself, empowerment, being who I am, creating because I want to create. That's the gate 12.
Yeah.
Then we have the gate 45, which is it's tribal. This is the voice of the people. This is about, I have. This is because every one of these three gates, which is pretty cool, they are in Gemini, but they're also throat gates. And when we talk about throat gates in human design, we're talking about manifestation energy. We're talking about the whole key to bringing things from the mind or from the dreams into the real world is
make
energy.
it real.
Yeah, exactly. You speak it,
Yeah.
and that's why the throat energy is so important. But you
I
need
love that.
power. Yeah, keep going.
I also love as well, sorry to cut you off, I'm just having
No.
like a little mini brain moment here as well. Isn't it amazing how the sign that's known for communication and skill and commerce is literally like, it has all of these gates of the throat, which is about speaking and creating things and bringing them into manifestation. That's so cool.
Well, and I think that's what's so amazing. And you can even take it further, because within the mandala, which if you know what an astrology chart looks like, right? It's a circle, it's 360 degrees or around there. Within that circle, there's the houses, but in human design, they have what they call these quarters. So the first quarter is about in the mind, like, just so basically, if you're born within that quarter, you like to sort of have a lot of thought, and maybe you teach, and maybe you use your mind, and you don't care if you build something like you want to get money and resources and all those kind of things, but it's not like you want to go out and build a car, or like, so for instance, Elon Musk would be probably in the second quarter, which is a quarter of civilization, which is talking to the idea of this idea that you want to bring something into the world, this concept that you think it, and then you like, oh, I'm going to build that house, and then you walk by that house, and you go, well, I brought that from in my mind to the real world. So if you're born within that quarter, then that's what you want, and it sort of goes through the whole thing. But the second quarter is where we're in right now, and this is where we're bringing things into form. So there's this kind of manifestation energy, this excitement, and we're spending more time in this quarter for this manifestation, which I think is really powerful. So like we said before, it may be the time to try that thing again that maybe didn't work out, right? But not something brand new, but there is power and there's energy to get those things out into the world, because we have only 4 manifestation, like what they call pure manifestation channels in human design. 3 of them they're being sort of activated
Right now.
for Mercury
Yeah.
retrograde. So that's really speaking to a ton of power, which we know because Gemini is in it. Sorry, Mercury's in Gemini, its own sign. So we know it's powerful. So that's the kind of energy. I don't know if I explained enough of each one for you, but basically that's the kind of energy that we're talking about. Like it's manifestation, and it's wanting to pad your bank book. Yeah, for sure. It's also wanting to be your creative self, to, to sometimes be alone. And I think that there's like sort of, and it's going to change because basically we're going to have Mercury going through each particular gate. Right now it's in the gate 12, which talks to this idea of maybe wanting to sort of be your own person, do your own thing, and socialize if you want, and maybe not socialize if you don't want to. So it's about, it's a funny gate in that you say, are these people worth my time? Are they worth my time for what I have to say? And that's what it could be. So in other words, you have to, with this type of energy, the 12 and the 22, if you have that energy, or when we're having a transit, you really have to go out because you want to go out, because you're in the mood. Because if you go out and you're not necessarily in the mood, then it could be, people might get a little bit more of an earful than you had planned to, because you just you just don't want to be there. And it's just this real aura of like glumness. So it could be you want to go out, or it could be you want to be alone. And sometimes there could be this level of melancholy, but the way we direct melancholy is to direct our energy into creativity. Instead of internalizing it, we externalize it. And that's the whole key, is to creatively express. And when I talk about creativity, I am not talking about, oh, you have to learn how to paint or draw or whatever. It's anything that makes you feel good. Like, if you like to play basketball, you're out there, you're expressing yourself creatively. So it really is this, what makes you feel good, and you go out and do that, and it expresses your energy. And what happens is it moves through that energy, and because what happens is, as soon as we start to think, oh, I'm feeling a little bit down, I'm feeling like, yeah, something's off, I feel the blues, what's wrong with me? As soon as you say that, then you get stuck. But
Yeah.
as soon as you say, that's part of my process, that's part of who I am,
Yeah, I'm gonna
and I
roll
go
with
through it, and it just goes to the other side. And that's what we do.
yeah, I love it. I
Exactly.
love it.
Yeah.
And you can take that on board. It's really interesting. Just to backtrack on a few things. So for those of you that don't know, every year I hold, well, every year for the last 2-3 years now, and I'll be holding one this year as well. I hold a winter solstice alignment activation session. Denise I was lucky enough actually that she said yes in order to be at the last one. And we talked about this. So this year we can already see that restless kind of energy setting in. People, they know they want something, they're just not sure what it is. We're seeing people, mass migrations, we talked about this, right? I said we're going to see people moving left, right, and center. And when I saw it in the cards and in meditations and stuff, I was like, what is going on? Like, just mass, sort of like people en masse doing this whole thing. And one of the things that Denise mentioned there was the gate 36 and greener grass. That itchy feet syndrome that we're all feeling in some way, shape, or form will have you jumping left, right, and center, out the boat, opening up the cockpit, and jumping out the door. You need to sit on it for just a moment to ask yourself, why am I feeling restless? What is it that's really making my feet itchy? Do I actually want to leave my job? Do I really want to move from the area that I live in? Or am I feeling this that's kind of around, and am I buying into that? Again, when you think about a Mercury retrograde and how that whole energy works, you're going to be feeling that. And it's not just going to be on a physical, visceral level, it's going to be in here as well, which is why having that clarity of thought, or at least taking a moment to check in with yourself, or like Denise said, just say, actually, you know what, I don't feel great right now. Let me switch off and do something that I love to reactivate that energy of thinking clearly. When you spend energy that is pent up, you tend to create a harmony within yourself. And I think that's going to be really important. So, when we saw this card in the winter solstice, I remember you saying specifically, before you make these big moves in 2021, just ask yourself, is this the right thing for me? Or more importantly, is it am I just jumping ship because I want something different? You know,
Yeah.
take a moment to actually think about what you're getting, right? Because all of the information that you have may not necessarily be not necessarily above board, but it may not be accurate. And what you're feeling, you add that energy of feeling to it, you might be getting sort of out of bounds of what is actually going to be really beneficial for you. As I understand it as well, it's really interesting that you talked about the gate 12 and the caution energy. I think this is the moment where the choice or the decision of the Lovers card is really coming into play. And I find that really interesting. So pay attention to what you feel drawn to speculate or stipulate on at the moment, so that you can really kind of get as clear as you possibly can on what you should be putting into or feeding into. And then when it moves again, it will be into gate 22, right?
The next one after that is gate 45.
45, the
And we're
regal.
going to have that's going to be the most prevalent energy for the actual Mercury retrograde. It's got the most time, sort of like where the 35 is on the end, the tail end, where it's matching up, and then we got the 12 in the beginning. And remember, with the gate 36 and also the gate 35 and also the gate 12, they're all emotionally charged energies. They're like that passion. So you also have this, like when we talk about emotional energy, you feel this, oh yes, that's exciting, that's exactly what I want to do. You wake up the next day and you go, oh my gee, why did I sign up, like what was I thinking? And that you're in there, that then you're in at it. You tell your boss, you know what you can do, and click, you're done. And the next day you go, oh wow.
Yeah, what happened? Bring it up.
what and I think that, like, that's not where anybody wants to be. You want to go, I always say, leave on your own terms, right? Leave on your own terms, and that you feel like, yeah, this chapter's closing in my life and it feels right. And I mean, like, you're pulling the drain and you're watching the water go down, and you know that it's done, but
Yeah.
you feel neutral about it. You feel, you could have some level of excitement too, but there's this concept of this is the right time. And I think that we always at some point in our lives will get that, yeah, that's the right time. And you know just trying to balance that without sort of sticking your foot in it and going, oh no,
Yeah.
what am I going to do with this shoe now? It's kind of all full of
Yeah.
so
I love that. I love that. It's brilliant. Okay, so moving on then to, so that's like the start of the Mercury retrograde, just to
right.
give you like an overall sort of theme of that energy. So what we come into next on the 10th of June is going to be the Gemini eclipse, right? So the cards that I've pulled for this from the tarot are the Sun card, the Moon card, and the Fool card. So obviously we've got the Sun and the Moon because that's obviously the eclipse energy. And the reason I've put the Fool card in the middle is because the Fool card is a moment of destiny. It's what we can't see. It happens not necessarily, yeah, actually, no, you could say that the Fool card happens in a vacuum because it's there but not there. It's an interrupting factor that kind of comes out of the blue that you aren't necessarily aware of. And so I've put it in the middle there because it's kind of a reminder, like, obviously we lose the light in an eclipse for a moment, right? It goes dark, it disappears. And one of the things with the Fool card, I call this the energy of pure potential. It can be all things or no things. And because it is the zero, like, it literally represents like the dark fertile womb, but it is dark. Like, and when I say dark, I don't mean like dark as in dangerous, deadly, scary, or evil or anything like that, but it's dark because it's hidden from you. Destiny is hidden from us. Whether you read cards, astrology, tarot, human design, we only ever get glimpses. None of us is all knowing or all seeing. And those moments of destiny that take us out of our current stream, off of our current path, and put us in a new direction, that's the Fool card. You can't know it because the universe needs to give you a clean slate to respond with and from. And that's the beauty of it. So with this eclipse, we've talked about this, Denise, I can't wait for you to let everybody know how it's going to come about. But one of the taglines that I put here in my notes was, a long-held hope, wish, goal, or dream may come back around in a new guise. And obviously, because it's a Mercury retrograde, yes, we've got Mercury or the magician as the trickster, right? Absolutely, that's there. So one of the things that I've put here is, does it just look the same, or is it actually the same? Is there an echo there? Is there a real echo of what it was before? So when Denise says, don't go and start something brand new, this is about bringing that thing that's been on the shelf for ages, that you said, you know what, one day I'm going to do that. This is manifesting energy. And I really feel that this Mercury retrograde, for those old hopes, those old wishes, those old goals and dreams, they have a real shot at becoming something truly amazing from this point onwards. So this eclipse energy taking place in Gemini, you know, you've got the North Node there as well. And obviously we've got the Mercury retrograde. That kind of feels for me like there is something coming back from the past. And this time it has a real shot at being what you wanted it to be, what you needed it to be that first time round.
I'm getting excited just listening to you. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get that thing out. I don't know what it is, but I'm getting it out. I want to be on that train. But yeah, I mean, this is exciting. And the eclipse is actually happening. When I look at the eclipse, it's like, it's all manifestation energy. We have the moon in the 45. We have the Mercury in the 45. We have the sun in the 45, which of course the sun and moon are, it's a new moon, but they're all in the 45, and the 45 is money. It's padding up that that bank account. It's getting more. It's talking to the idea of, what can I give to the people so that I will get, something. And it really is a win-win energy when we talk about that. You also have the gate 26. The earth is in the gate 26. I mean, we talk about the earth in human design, and that talks to the idea of selling something that is for the greater good. You know, the elephant with the little bird. So you have the bird, and he's cleaning the elephant, so he's getting his meal, but yet the elephant is getting a benefit because he's getting the parasites pulled off him. So it's a win-win. So there's a lot of things that we can do. And so anything related to this is a tremendous amount of leadership energy. This is the voice of the people. This is talking to support, the greater good. And that, so the earth is going to be in the gate 26, and we also have the 45, which is being activated, and the 45 is, which it is in the line 4, which is a foundational influential energy. This is about having people come to you and say, you know what, we could do something good together, or those types of things. And it really does talk to, like, the tribal energy. It is tribal energy. Tribal energy is all about the mundane things that we need in life. And when I say mundane, I don't say it in a negative way. I say it in a way that we as humans, yes, we are spiritual beings, but we have to have a house. Well, we have to have shelter. We have to have food. We have to have all those things that we live, that keep us alive. And this is really talking to, let me bring back that energy of, sort of building up my bank account, or building something of value. And when we talk about the gate 45, it is about education too. They say that the gate 45 is a type of thing that the more education a group has, the more power they have too. And so it really is talking to this idea of educating yourself about things that, like, even I would say that especially anybody who's wanting to, like, launch something that where they're teaching something, or you have a webinar you want to do, or where you're giving some benefit to people, something like a group that you're starting, where if they join the group, then they pay a due, but then they get these benefits, like those kind of things are all like, and I'm not limiting it to those, but those are the things that are kind of coming in to sort of click in and say, yeah, those would. We also have Pluto is actually going to be, at that same time, right around that same time, actually the day after, Pluto is switching out of the gate 60, out of limitation, transformation of limitation, into the 61. And that's all about inner knowing, inner truth, just trying to discover the like the undiscoverable, knowing, just trying to know everything, and maybe not necessarily, kind of getting in a mind spinner types of things like that. This talks to mental health. This talks to a transformation for mental health. This is the last pass that Pluto will take. Exactly. It's like, so she's there and she's got her little lantern. And the thing about it is she's in a dark place, right? So she doesn't know where all she can see is where the lantern is. And we could say that that's our intuition, right? That's our intuition. Like you say, you only see where the light hits. You imagine there are things in the darkness, but you don't really know. And so that's what the gate 61 is talking to, this idea. So it's transforming mental health. It's transforming like that's what Pluto does. It goes in, it completely shakes the foundation. What doesn't work anymore? Let's get it working again. And so it's going to make that last pass. So like we have a lot of things happening at the same time. So there's that there's 26, like I said, the greater good, the 45, which is this idea, the path we're walking, the nodes, the 16 and the 9. When in human design, the nodes talk to the collective path that we're all walking. What are we talking about? What are the things that we're trying to get to happen in society? And you look around and you'll see a lot of people doing. Well, one is that people are trying to discover what they're good at. So we have a lot of people who have shifted out of jobs. Maybe the job isn't there anymore, because that's what's happened. And people are going, what am I good at? What is my talent? What is that thing that I can do? What can I bring to the world? So you're looking for that thing that you're good at. There's a lot of experience that people are looking into. Like some people just want to jump in and do something like exciting because and that's sort of the 35, 36 energy. But the 16 energy is more of a, let me try something. I want to know if I'm good at it. I want to know if I want to put my energy into it. So I don't know if you know the book by Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours, or it's not 10,000 hours. It's Outliers, I think it's called.
No, but I know that theory that it takes 10,000 hours to become a master.
Exactly. So that's the energy that we're walking the path of right now. We're trying to discover that thing that we want to focus all that energy, and that thing that we might have this natural ability to be good at, and the thing that we're going to have to work really hard to make it happen, to make it into something, but the thing that will give us that result of feeling like, yeah, we found that thing that really makes our heart sing. Because ultimately it's all about finding your talent. And when you find your talent, you find that thing that makes your heart sing. And every time you do it, yes, it's hard work and those kind of things, but it's this concept of, I'm doing it because I know that one day I want to be a master in this because it matters that much to me. And that's what it is. The other thing that we're walking on, and that's like the North Node is in the gate 16. So that's where we're going. And the South Node is sort of where we're coming from, or we might be moving away. This is about trying to get all the details about everything, trying to find all the bricks. And the 16 is what the enthusiasm, the talent. So when we talk about enthusiasm, we could say it's talent as well. It's like we can use those interchangeably with that energy. The 9 is that idea of hyper focus on too many things and you're all over the place. And sometimes there could be an obsession with this. Exactly. And when you said that, I was like, oh, that's really funny, because I mean, there's so many connections between these energies, but this talks about collecting all the bricks and just keep collecting bricks and you never really do anything with them. The gate 9. Yeah. What it's saying now is, okay, you're going to take the bricks, because the 9 is a collective logical energy, which means it's a pattern that you want to do. Take those bricks and build something. Like it's saying you've got the bricks, and I use a brick analogy, you know what I mean? But you have the tools, right? And I know there's the tarot card, of course what it is. You have all the tools. That's a magician, isn't it?
Yes. So he's got the tools on his bench there. Mm-hmm. And 2 others that you might think about are the 3 of Pentacles, which is all about learning, study, education. And then you could even pull in the 8 of Pentacles, which is about you working on or perfecting your craft or doing what you do for work. Yeah.
Like in a big scheme, if we look at the Sagittarius, we have the South Node in Sagittarius, and we have the North Node in Gemini. We're looking that moving from Sagittarius, and what I've seen this to be true now, I don't have an opinion either way, is that people are coming away from, organized education, higher education, as in they're saying, I'm going to just learn on my own. I'm just going to go in my community. I'm going to start a channel. I'm going to, start a group, exactly. So we're moving away from that need to have all those accreditations and moving to this idea of, okay, what is my talent? What am I good at? And like a lot of this self-taught energy, like you see so many of these people like masters in their thing, like making jewelry or, like a pianist, and they just taught themselves. And you think, wow, that's cool. And I'm not saying that you don't get input, but you just have to start somewhere. And that's kind of where we're going. That's the path we're going. So this is all happening within this energy. Like, yeah. And Jupiter is in the gate 55. I mean, that's the whole time. And Jupiter is an expansion, and the gate 55 is this idea that the universe has your back. The universe has your back. Exactly. It's universal abundance. It's saying, when you've done every single thing you can do to make things happen in your life, and there's absolutely nothing else you can do, then that's when the universe can step in and say, okay, we got you. We're handling it,
Yeah.
and allowing the universe to do it. Like a lot of times we want to control it and say, oh, well, I'll decide how you're give me this stuff. And I only want a Ferrari. Exactly. I want a Ferrari and you're giving me, a Volkswagen. I mean, come on, so it's like, the universe answers you, but you have to be open to what the universe brings, and just say, I am open to receive. And I think a lot of times we're just our heads are down and we're working so hard to make those things happen that we just don't let go and just say, okay, like was it Carrie Underwood? She has that Jesus Takes the Wheel kind of song. Is that like, it's like, it's like, just let it go and let the universe show you like that glimpse, that one thing that's going to change. And sometimes that's all we need. We just need that little glimmer of hope in the horizon saying, yeah, you know what, this is coming. So
Yeah, I love that. And it's so perfect as well. So some other things that I put here as well for the eclipse were a new beginning on an old idea. Also, what I've put here as well is analog about to become the new digital. This idea of needing to unplug, of needing to, do you know what I mean? Decompress from
yeah,
the world that is all in there and all up there, and bring it down to
yeah,
ground, into this, okay, what is the best exchange? What is the currency that's going to get the job done? That's kind of how I see the gate 26, actually, right? There's a symbiotic relationship going on there.
yeah,
And I think this eclipse is really going to help us understand that. Okay, yes, money, finances, resources, so important. Forget everything else. You need them to survive, right? Like
yeah.
you said, it's vital, it's important. I've also put here as well, does technology nullify itself? I remember having this conversation with my dad, oh gosh, now, when I was like maybe 15 or 16. And it's just a really interesting concept. Now, I'm not saying, technology is suddenly going to disappear because of the eclipse, but I do think its place within our lives, how we use it and what we use it for, is about to change. And I think that's actually a really good thing. So as with all eclipses, what was happening for you 9 years ago, what was happening for you 18 years ago, because they tend to move in those cycles. So really take a time to think about that and to figure, how is this actually going to show up for me? So moving on to the 20th of June, there's two aspects that I really wanted to talk about. The sun is going to trine Jupiter, which is always a lovely energy. But what I've put here is, what does or could a new world look like? We've got the sun in Cancer, so it's going to be wanting to nourish and to nurture and to really, be of that supportive energy. We've got Jupiter in Pisces, which is like, hey, listen, we need compassion, we need more care, we need more love. And as those two connect, I think we're really going to have a see of that. One of the things that you said that I thought was really interesting as well, is what you are selling or bringing to the world, making it a better place. Do you know
Yes.
what I mean? Like that's going to be so, so important. And I think this aspect will really highlight that for us. The one thing that I do kind of get a little bit worried about is because Jupiter is retrograde in the sign of Pisces, I kind of feel like there might be that sort of tendency for utopia at all costs. It has to be the best
Yeah.
thing for everybody all the time, and it's like that's not always possible. So just a word of thought and caution around that. And then the other one that I've put here as well is Venus is going to be trining Neptune at the time, and I get the feeling that that's going to open up or see people rushing to beaches and or sea travel. And I kind of feel like that might feed into possible or potential lockdowns in the fall.
So Venus, did you say Venus is trining Neptune? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's on
So
the 20th.
yeah. So this, okay. So do you want me to look at the human design, how it sort of plays out human design wise? Sure.
Yes, please.
So we have the sun is in the gate 15, and the gate 15 is the love of humanity. It's one of the 4 love gates, right? So we have the love of humanity. The love of humanity is like this. Utopia is the real utopia is that we can all be ourselves in the world. We all have a place in the world. So if we can imagine the world as a body, right? We have cells in our brain, we have cells on our fingers, we have cells everywhere. And every single cell has its place in the body, right?
Mhm.
And what we're always trying to do is we look at somebody like, so you're a finger cell and you say, well, I want to be a cheek cell. I want to be an ear cell. And but the way you're set up is that you are meant to be a finger cell, and that's okay. So in other words, say you want to be a singer, and but your voice isn't a beautiful voice, but yet you can play music, you can play the piano, or you can play a guitar, or you can do whatever. But you say, I never want to do that, I only want to be a singer. And so we sort of start living someone else's dream but not living our own life. And we're always looking at, and there was a really good teacher I had a long time ago, and he said this one thing and it just kind of stuck with me. He said, we're always mowing everybody else's grass and ours is just growing out of control. You know what I mean? We're always trying to take care of everybody else, but not take care of ourselves. Or to be greener grass, and to be someone who maybe we're not necessarily. And in our hearts of hearts, are we trying to be that other person because we will feel that it will give us that self-esteem that we may not have, or it will give us that recognition that we may not have, or it will make us feel a certain way. So if I was like a millionaire on YouTube, or and I had all these followers, and I was like that specific person who I think Olivia Rodriguez, she's the new like singer out there, really sweet little girl, got a nice voice. I call her a little girl, she's probably 20, but you know what I mean, she's out there doing her thing and she's having her day. And I'm sure there are a lot of people looking at her and saying, young people going, oh, I want to be like her and that kind of stuff. Be like you, because there's only one of you. We're like snowflakes. Every single one is unique. And I think that when we embrace the uniqueness of being ourselves, we all have a place in the world. And I think that we're always trying to conform, or we're always trying to be that thing that fits in. Just be yourself. I think Dr. Seuss says it the best. There's no one youer than you, and those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind, or those who mind don't matter. You know what I mean, what I'm saying? So in other words, this is the love of humanity. Everybody has their place, and that is connecting with this idea of the whole Jupiter thing, which is the universe will take care of you. And the third line, when we talk about like each each particular gate has like 6 lines. So you have like you have a building of the theme. The third line is experimenting with universal abundance, experimenting with the universe answering those queries or those prayers or whatever you want to say. And so it's that perspective, those two things. So you say, I want the world to be a better place. Let the universe, Jupiter, bring those ideas of how can I make the better world a better place. It's one by one. We all can do some little thing. And I think sometimes we get overwhelmed by, oh, it's such a big project, there's so many things I have to do. But what can you do in this very moment? What is that one thing? And then if we go back to the gate 9 and we're still on that same path, it is picking up that one thing, and all the parts lead to a whole. You see what I mean? So it's like one step and one more step and one more step, and suddenly you're further along than you thought you could ever be. And I think that if we could start and do that, then we have the Venus, which is in the gate 62, and also you said with Jupiter as well, Venus with Jupiter. Sorry, I'm losing it.
Venus connecting to Neptune.
Neptune. Well, Venus is about practicality, and it really does talk about it's in this place of what can we make that's beautifully functional, basically, is what that's talking to.
I love
And
that.
then Neptune, yeah, exactly, beautifully functional. Like, so in other words, maybe in the old days we would have like a fancy purse, but now we have a fancy purse that can be a lunch bag or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
the
something
phone
like
is
that.
no longer just a phone.
Well, exactly, which it isn't, and you know, it's a computer basically. Like, I mean, those are the kinds of things. I mean, the old day a phone was, exactly. So it also is talking to the idea of you're coming out of the fog, you're seeing things more clearly. It can be somebody who's showing you concepts and explaining them in ways that you can understand, like you're breaking down bigger concepts and those kind of things. And then we have Neptune in there. It's again, this experience. And with Venus, I would say this beautiful experience. Like, I want something exciting. And well, Venusian, we could get into the hot and bothered kind of area with that, because the 36 is give me something exciting. And again, the 36 is one and done a lot of times. It's just you do that experience. And the gate 35 can be considered a talent gate as well, but this talent is for experience. So in other words, these people who just seem to know everything. You go to them and, oh yeah, I did that. I was there. I was, and they always have this wealth of experience. And that sort of is the gate 35.
You mentioned the 36 and,
Mm-hmm.
schmoozing, let's say, and connections of any kind, like of an intimate kind. Guys, when you think about the cards that I pulled for this, right? So the Lover's card, relationships, flings, excitement. But remember, Mercury is retrograde at this time, and you've also got the Hanged Man card there with the Neptunian. Let it be fun. Let it transform you or transcend you beyond your current experience, but don't bank on or hold on to it being more than just this moment. If you can remember that about new partnerships, new relationships, people that come in that have you all, googly eyed and stuff, if you can remember that, you'll sail through this time, I think, because you'll come away from the experience completely enriched, but not holding on to something that actually isn't there.
And that really is talking to expectation too, like, because the 35 and the 36, there's a lot of expectation involved in it. I mean, oh, what will I get out of this? Where is it going to lead me? Am I going to get something good out of it? And so a lot of times we're just rushing through that experience, and it's over with, and you go, I didn't really pay attention. So as much as the experience is important, yeah, and a lot of times you won't. You go on this like fabulous trip that you've always waited to do, and you've spent all this money, and you've waited and you've saved, and you go on this trip, and all you're thinking is like, when do I have to go back to the office? When do I have to go back to my job? And you're just not there. You're already gone back to wherever you live, and that is what you get. Like, what the difference between an experience that feels good and experience that was just kind of like blah, is one is that you're actually involved, you're in the present moment, you're in the now, you're enjoying the journey. And you know, like a lot of times I don't know if I said this to you before, and I might have, but I'll just repeat it. It's the concept of sometimes we're working towards a goal, and there's those late nights that you stay up kind of, you know, putting those things together, finishing the pieces, and finally you put that big thing out that you've worked so hard on, and it's over with, and you go, now I'm deflated. But what do you have after? You have your end product, yes, but you have the memories that led to that. And I think that that is what we have to do. We have to collect the memories as we walk through our paths of life, especially with this energy, because that's the energy of experience. Without the memories, it feels flat. It feels like you never really got to do anything because you don't really have anything to fall back on. And that's the whole point of this energy, is to have something to fall back on, as in, oh yeah, you know, because sometimes in the years as they pass, you go, oh, back in the day, remember when we did this and this and this, and how much fun it was. And maybe it's a little bit more rose colored, but it doesn't matter because you have something there and it feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's brilliant. So when we then move towards the 23rd of June, where Mercury will now be direct, heading back towards that square to Neptune, what I've got here is what was hidden will now be revealed to us. What has become obsolete will be blatantly obvious, and it will be time for it to be discarded. And it might not be a quiet energy, is one of the things that I've put about that. It, you know, whatever it is that's now come to its close, its completion, its culmination, you might have to set it aside. And the feeling that I got when I was looking at all of this is it might not go quietly. You know, it might be something that you have to release, and it's kind of like the, you know, the Wicked Witch of the West. She didn't go silently, right? She,
Oh.
nothing. It was like a whole thing.
Oh, wow. That's like right on cue.
Yeah, I'll take that. Cheers, universe. Yeah, very, very much kind of like that. But as it then heads forward, I think not only will we have the memories like you've mentioned, but I also get this exquisite sense that whatever we set into motion, that we brought back off the shelf, that we dusted up and said, right, okay, you're shiny and clean again, kid, let's put you out. That's when you're going to see it. And all right, fair enough, we've still got the next sort of Mercury square Neptune to go. But at that point, we'll all have transcended beyond that, and there'll be something else, like you said, not just the thing itself, but the memories of, wow, you know what, I remember when I was putting this together, I remember the hard work, the blood, the sweat, the tears. And it is like, those are the things at the time, it's like, oh my god, I am
Yeah.
inside, right? And then after, it's like, yes, you know, that sort of triumph that shines through. Beautiful. So do you have anything to add before we get into some card pulls?
I think the other thing that I didn't mention was that we do have Saturn moving during the Mercury retrograde, moving from the gate 13, which is all about secrets, and it's moving into the gate 19, which is all about sensitivity. So it's going to maybe make us a little bit more sensitive. And then we think about Saturn, we do talk to the idea of people who are suffering. And so we may see and be more sensitive to the people in the world. And I think it all sort of, we might start to see things, exactly, the sensitivity of you know, not maybe getting the support that we want, and not necessarily getting what we want. And I think that that might sort of come to the forefront, and this idea that we need to be supported more. And I think that if anything, that, you know, if we're in a good place, it certainly isn't a bad idea to actually look at other people and, you know, check in on people and see how you doing, how, you know, those kind of people, because it's been a long road for a lot of people, not everybody. Some people have, you know, glided through perfectly and done very well. But there are other people who have been sort of in a rocky space. And I guess that the one thing that I could just say is that, you know, keep an eye out for other people, and just, you know, check in and see how people are doing, especially the elderly. It feels like it's the elderly or people who have a little more hardship in their life, basically. So
Yeah,
that would be the only thing I'd add.
Love it. I love that. And I actually think that the Jupiter in Pisces is really going to highlight that to us, not just in this time, but obviously when it moves at the end of the year into Pisces for good,
Mhm.
which I think I might call you back for so that we can have a good book,
Sure.
which would be great. All right. So, as always, I am going to pull some cards. So you're going to get one destiny card for the overarching energy or theme, and you'll get one direction card to kind of flesh that out and show you how to use it maybe. So we're going to do these by your ascendant, guys. So check this for your ascendant. You can check your sun, moon, and ascendant and see if it speaks to you, but we're specifically using this, and hopefully Denise is going to back this up for me as well. All right. So before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So, for Aries, this is taking place in your third house.
Yeah.
All right. So, Denise, when you're ready, please just say when.
When?
Ooh. Aries, you have the Tower. All right, so there are going to be some big revelations for you that may come through your communications, that might come up in your local area in some way, shape, or form. Don't be surprised if you see closed streets, things backed up, things kind of halted, or maybe even directions changed in some way, shape, or form. On a personal level, this could be a revelation that comes through conversation. It could be a revelation through something that you learn as well. When you're ready, just say when.
When?
All right, and we've got the Chariot card, right? So this is so interesting. The Chariot card is number 7, and the Tower card is number 16. So these are literal direct opposites in the Taroic wheel. And what I love most about this, it really says to you that whatever is shocking, whatever it is that comes in and completely changes the course, is your way through. That is your ticket. So whatever it is that comes in and completely turns things upside down, that's your meal ticket. That is your way to make money. The thing that disrupts you the most is likely to be the thing that carries you onto a personal victory of some kind.
Very cool. So did you want me to pick a card?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, you can tell me when.
All right. So Aries, third house, when?
All right, let's see. Okay, this might be a card you know. Can you see?
Yeah,
53. So we just went through Mars actually going through 53, but ultimately the key with this is it does really hook up with Aries in that we talk to the idea of starting something new. So it really does work in with that. But when we do start something new, we have to remember that this is a cyclical energy. So in other words, once you get into this energy, once you've decided to start something, you're kind of in it. So in other words, calculated ideas, calculated beginnings, calculate it, because it's easy. I always use a seed analogy. It's easy to have a handful of seeds and just throw them everywhere, right? And then when they come up, you go, oh, what am I supposed to do now? This kind of energy, you say, you plant your seed, you have, you have fertilizer, you have a plot, you have everything you need so that everything will work out the way you want it to work out. Because why put the energy in otherwise, right? So that's what that energy says.
love it. Love, love, love. All right. So for Taurus, this is taking place in your second house of money, resources, finances, self-esteem, earning potential as well. All right. When you're ready, just say when.
When?
So, Taurus, you have the Hanged Man. Sometimes the best way to get what you want is to allow it to come to you. No pushing, no shoving. Do what you do and do it to the best of your ability, but chase nothing. Why? Because the Hanged Man always says to you, when you surrender, just like we mentioned earlier with Jupiter, finding that abundance or that gate 55 is going to come from, and when I say doing nothing, it's not sitting on the couch eating, chips. It's doing what you do, but not pushing it beyond that. All right, let's flesh that out. Ooh,
When?
okay. And you've got the Nine of Swords, right? So you might actually feel this energy. For you Taurians, when it comes to your money, your resources, your finances, you might feel the momentum that you've gained up until this point actually slows down. And you might start getting in your head about it and saying, okay, well, what do I do now? Well, you don't have to do anything. Just keep doing what you're doing, maybe even at a slower pace, and take your time with it. Why? Because when everything moves forward, i.e. Mercury moves forward, you're then going to see the results, and they will come all the more for you having done basically all the less.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. I'm Taurus, so that's why I was listening very intently. You can tell me when.
When?
Oh, 21, control. What's interesting is this really does talk to the money coming in, and it is in the second house. I you know, like that's where the retrograde's going to happen and all that kind of stuff. What this talks about is if it's lining up with the gate 45, yeah, I mean, and I think that what you said, if we can build on that, it is the idea of don't be chasing the money, don't be chasing, you know, that need to get more. It will come in its own time, and just keep, you know, plugging along like you said. But it is sort of releasing control and not sort of grabbing onto it, and saving for a better day, basically. So
Love that as well. And owls are wise, right? They
oh
know.
yeah, very wise. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So for Gemini, this is happening in your first house, all about you.
When?
And you guys have the Empress, right? So your most abundant and beautiful self, because the Empress is Venus as well, your most abundant and beautiful self is now being realized and being actualized. And you are coming into a new understanding, not only of who you are, but how you affect the world around you. And how people receive you is going to be so much more obvious now than ever before. And I think that's really exciting.
When?
All right. And to couple that, you've got the King of Wands, but you can't be shy about it. Now, I mean, Geminis aren't really shy anyway. You guys can talk the hind legs off a donkey, as we say here in the UK. But with the King of Wands present, the message here is really not only seeing how you affect others, but once you know that, you've got to use it for something good. Be a leader, step up, be okay to stand in your power and show other people how to do exactly the same.
That is so cool, because the gate 45 is a Gemini gate, and that is like a leader gate, right?
Awesome.
Like it really is. It really is. It's very cool.
All right. So Gemini, when?
Okay. Ooh, 29. Perseverance. Keep going. You know, it's like just don't stop and keep going. And I think that what this is talking about is a lot of hard work. You know, there is a lot of work involved, but it's just not ever giving up. And just the thing about this energy is really cool is once you get a passion for something, that's when all the good things come to you. It's like this divine passion that is hard to find, but when you find it, it's magical, and the gifts it can give you. So it's actually a very lucky thing. So really good. Keep up.
Awesome. All right. So for Cancer, in your 12th house, the hidden space, the sometimes dark space, or I call it like not the collective unconscious, but the collective closet. It's like where you
That's a good
store
one.
all of your crap.
Ooh, scary. Don't open the door.
Yeah.
When?
All right. So for Cancer, wow, the Death card. How apt is that, right? So you've got the eclipse taking place, and it's a solar eclipse at that, which is really interesting, taking place in your 12th house. You also have the Mercury retrograde that's really activating that. And then you have the Death card. Whatever comes up in this time for release, don't do the Cancerian thing and latch onto it and think about it and feel about it and open those old wounds. they're coming up to be laid to rest. This is the time where you clean out that inner closet in here and in here, and whatever comes up, bury it and let it go in love. This is the way that you get through it. And it might also bring up, you know, whether this is through you or because it's all happening in Gemini, right? So it might even be through conversation that somebody highlights to you where you get in your own way, where you shoot yourself in the foot. And it might be really uncomfortable, but the message, or rather the knowledge that comes from that will be bone deep.
When?
Right, and we have the Six of Swords. And if you really want to get ahead, if you really want to move into better times, brighter experiences, you have to take that experience, but not the baggage. That's the difference. You take the knowledge, but you don't take the baggage. That's it.
Oh, I like that. All right.
All right, for Cancer, when?
Ooh, possible or the fighter. Not the fighter. The possible is basically, this is when you tell somebody that you can't do it and they say, oh no, that's not necessarily true, I can. And there's this kind of undying force to continue to move forward no matter what people say, and to go to the beat of your own drum despite whatever people say is very individual. So keep plugging along, and I think it does really sort of meld with the energy you're talking about, like just keep going, but don't take a lot of crap with you, you know, like that's a really good idea. Yeah. So
one of my friends said it, and I can't remember who it was or what the exact words were, but it was like, you can't smuggle drugs into heaven, right? That's the message. You're going to better times and easier times, and no matter what somebody highlights to you that's uncomfortable, you can't take that baggage with you. Take the knowledge so that you learn from it, but don't take the shit.
Yeah, I think I agree with you completely. I mean, you know, just get what you need to get and then move on. Exactly. The gems, and then leave the crap behind.
Hell yeah. All right, Leo, for your 11th house, groups, benefactors, social structures and connections.
When?
You have the Moon card. All right, so sorry to say, Leos, but old friends, old connections, things and people that you might have been tied to in the past are coming back for you. Maybe not necessarily for reconnection, maybe just for assimilation, but it is a time where you use this whole Mercury retrograde period and the eclipse to really ask yourself what the past has given you, and more importantly, what you are taking forward. So very similar to Cancer, but I would say that the difference here being is, for you guys, it's not about letting it go. It's more about really observing it, doing the looking rather than anything else. When it comes to friendships and groups and partnerships, you are going to have to get really real about your social circle now, who you are tied to, who is actually for you and building you up, and who is not.
When?
Okay, and you've got the Four of Wands, right? So this could be great. I mean, these two together can actually represent a full moon party. So if you're planning a get together of some sort, especially if it's taking place at nighttime, absolutely go for it. This would be a really good time to start thinking about the foundations of friendship, not just for the friendships that you have or the partnerships that you have, you know, with your people, but really starting to ask yourself, what are the connections that I have right now with my social circle, my people? What are the foundations of that? And do they hold up anymore? All right, for Leo, when?
All right. Ooh. We have the gate 41. That's a nice one, right? This is all about, you know, dreaming the impossible dream. And it's, you know, it talks to the idea of being between a visionary or a dreamer. Which one are you? And it just says that dreams take time to manifest, and it don't stop dreaming. Continue to dream, but they take time to manifest, and just have patience with the process, and especially with its Mercury retrograde, definitely patience with the process.
For sure. I love that. I love it. All right. So for Virgo and your 10th house of career, public standing, social status, and the image you present to the world.
When?
So you have the Emperor. Stand in your strength, be in your power, and ultimately be about it. Like, use this Mercury retrograde season to turn yourself into an authority of what or in what you do. This is a time where you can't hold back. You're going to have to really claim it. And that might be uncomfortable because this comes with a modicum of being a figurehead, right? It's the emperor after all. So, and you know, we know Virgos like to play more of a supportive role, or you know, not necessarily be in the limelight, but you can't do that. This energy is trying to show you how to switch that up.
When?
Okay. And you can do that with the Knight of Wands, right? So that is a lot of fire energy. This is all about action for you guys. It's all about pushing on to bigger goals and ideas and really tapping into what you are passionate about. So use this whole time, not only to think about how you're going to lead, but how you're going to make it look good.
Very cool. All right.
For
I'm not as
Virgo.
graceful as you.
Men. No, I've got smaller cards, it's fine.
Okay.
When.
Oh, greater good. So we know that whatever you're bringing to the table, if you are bringing something new, or you're trying to sell something, or you're trying to bring some brand new device or way of being into the collective, then it really is something that you want to win at, but you also want to make sure that everybody's winning. And when everybody wins, it's just a really great, like, yeah, like you said, it's a betterment of the world as opposed to just putting another thing out there. So
I love that. That would as well speaks to the idea of using the 45, right? Because the greater good, when you think of like regal and peacocks, you think of royalty. And the way that
yeah.
that relationship used to work is that the king or the queen would be the figurehead. They would be out at the forefront. This is how we do it. I'm here with you. My sleeves are rolled up. We get in the dirt together. We win together. We lose together. And I really like that idea because with that 26, it's like, yes, this is for the greater good. You might find that over the course of this whole retrograde season and the eclipse triggers that energy where people do start to look to you guys more, which is exciting and terrifying.
Yeah, and it is all tribal energy too. So it does talk to resources, money, and how we bring in the, the money, basically. That's literally what it's talking about. So
Love it.
right on. Yeah.
All right, for Libra, in your 9th house of your belief structure, religion, philosophy, your higher mind and higher learning.
When?
Ooh. And you guys have the Temperance card, which is literally the same themes as the 9th house, but it's also about alignment. So for you Libras, use this time to really get your energy, your mind, and your body in the same space. This is a time where you want to start thinking about really bringing that mind, body, spirit connection in more than ever. And this is also a time where you guys want to be really careful about the crap that you allow other people to bring you into. You got to be really discerning over this time with the Temperance card, especially.
When?
Okay. And you've got that with the Page of Cups. Why? Because your own ideas and the things that you really love are seeking expression. And the energy that you have at this time might feel limited. So what you do with it has to be the highest. And more importantly, it's the Page of Cups. That energy has to be pure, clear of other people's stuff, clear of outside influences. And unfortunately, one of the only ways we can do that, especially when we're already depleted, is by pulling ourselves out of certain types of connections or even associations.
All right.
For Libra, when?
All right. Oh, look at that. 41 again. So
Hey,
obviously there's some dreaming going on here. And that was in the you said the, I can't remember, ninth house. Yeah. So talking about this idea of maybe like doing some higher education or something like that, dreaming about something different, and you know, just kind of putting the ideas out there in your mind, and concepts that you might want to do in the future. And it takes time, so you may not have everything you need, but eventually all the pieces will fall into place.
yeah, love it. All right, for Scorpio, your eighth house, the house of your natural ruler. So death, sex, lust, taboo, power. Uh,
When
all right. Wow. So you guys get the Tree of Life. I love this card. It's an addition in this deck. It's not in all decks. What I love most about it, I call this card, it doesn't actually say this in the booklet, but I call this card Divine Intervention and Assistance. And sometimes that divine intervention and assistance comes by or through withholding from you what is not actually for you. And so if you feel a frustration in this time, like this isn't happening for me, they're not playing ball, they're not giving me what I want or what I need, it's likely not to be for your highest good. So consider that maybe the universe is withholding this from you because it isn't supposed to be a part of your path. Sometimes that's the way divine intervention or assistance actually works. It's not always about giving you exactly what you want, right? Sometimes it's about withholding from you what really isn't for you.
when
Okay. And you've got the Three of Swords, which literally backs up that message. And it's funny, right? Because usually I say like, yeah, you know, what you want might find its way to you. But with this time, it actually works in the opposite way. The Three of Swords is about what is removed or what needs to be let go of. So pay a moment, you know, if something isn't working and it feels like you're pushing uphill or it seems to be eluding you, there is a reason for that. And take a minute to consider what that might be.
I actually love that card, the Tree of Life, because, you know, human design, actually, that's part of human design. That's sort of part of the body graph, exactly, like reversed. So if you think about the other way, that's
Oh,
kind of what, like the body graph,
yeah, it really is.
that's where it came from. Yeah. Like a
Wow.
lot of it. Yeah. It's actually in there because there's several different things. But anyway,
That's so
so
cool.
yeah.
All right. When?
All right. Now we're getting repeats. I'm not sure. And I've been shuffling away. This is the gate 26 again, the greater good. So really talking to the idea of what works for you and works for others. And like what you said, I think that, you know, it does really kind of back up that idea of getting rid of things that don't really serve you anymore, kind of thing. And like wanting something. So I guess you could say, yeah, exactly what you're saying, like putting something out there that is for you, but yeah, I think it just really talks to the same idea of putting something out there that makes you feel really good about it as well, and just waiting to see what shows up in the future, you know, based on what you put out there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And also, if it's a ball that you hit out into the universe and it doesn't come back or it doesn't go anywhere, maybe
Yeah,
it's supposed to. Maybe there's something about it that might need to be tweaked.
yeah,
Is it serving that greater good or is it just serving the self?
yeah, which is hard sometimes. It can be tricky energy. I mean, that they, you know, that energy, they call it the trickster. So there is potential to get sort of in that side of, I only want something. And I think, like you say, it really does lead into the Tree of Life, where you're not necessarily getting something because maybe you don't have the highest and the best intentions, but you think you do, kind of thing. Like you think you
Yeah,
do, but then the universe kind of answers you and says, well, maybe you should rethink that. So
yeah,
that makes a
yeah.
lot of sense.
All right, love it. Okay, so for Sagittarius, in your seventh house of partnerships, relationships, marriage, one-on-one connection.
When
Ooh, okay, you have the world. This is beautiful. So really look to your community. So I would say in this time, if you are a single Saggy, You may find that your partner is closer to you than you ever imagined. It might be somebody that is in your immediate area or vicinity. It also suggests as well that maybe the one-on-one connection that you have, if you're in a relationship already, maybe it needs to take on more of a universal feel. And what I mean by that is, have you and your partner become a bit reclusive? You know, obviously, if you're in a country where you're in lockdown, you have no choice, right? But beyond that, like, if you are able to get out and about, is there a part of your relationship that needs more stimulus from the outside world?
When?
You have the 10 of Wands. For some of you, this could literally be completion of the space that you're in. So for some of you, this could be moving. One thing that has come up a lot as a theme in personal readings that I've done for people is that the areas that a lot of people are living in now, especially those that want to be in relationships, so Saggies, this is for you. If you are struggling to find a partner, it's because the environment is not optimal. So there's something about it that needs to change. All right. So not necessarily that you up sticks and move, because like I said, your partner could be closer than you think, but it also suggests as well, but maybe the environment isn't necessarily conducive to the relationship. It's definitely a possibility. For your
Do we have more?
yeah, I just went off on a tangent there. When?
Oh my. Oh, look, 19. So yeah, I mean, the thing about the 19 is it is half of the channel 1949, which really does talk to partnership. This is the energy that supports the partnership. So you have the 49 that is sort of the you could say the revolutionary sort of leader kind of thing, and then you have the 19 who is supporting them. So you have the role of the sensitive person, and yet there is this clinginess to it where you want to sort of always be with the person. So what this can talk to is you know, being together a lot, but maybe too much, I think, you know, that kind of concept. Yeah.
I love it. All right. For Capricorns and your sixth house of work, responsibility, maintenance of the things you own, and your health and daily routines.
When?
You have the strength card, right? So the first thing that I want to say to you, use this time to get to the bottom of any and all health challenges, issues, or complaints that you might have. This, because it's the strength card as well, it basically says that whatever is new to you, whatever feels uncomfortable, remember who you are. Go back into the heart, you know, into the heart of hearts, and say to yourself, I am Capricorn. This is what I do. And yes, whatever I'm doing or embarking on might be new, or I might be having to adjust something, but that doesn't mean that I can't excel at this like I do everything else.
When?
All right. And you have the world card as well. So those Capricorns who are in the throes of changing work, changing jobs, and I know that's a lot of you at the moment, those of you that are going through this process, wherever it is that you're telling yourself that you can't, you absolutely can, right? And there is a stronger sense of community around building you up into what you can be or fulfilling your potential than maybe you're seeing. And this time will really highlight that to you. For Capricorn, when?
Oh, actually one of my favorite cards. This is just, it really talks to the idea. This actually links into the talent. This is the depth that goes with the talent. So we look for that thing that we want to bring to mastery, and then we go into the depths to make ourselves a master. This also talks to the idea of not getting stuck in this idea that maybe you're not good enough, because you think that you need a little bit more training or a little bit more of something. Exactly. Kind of cool, right? And so it just says, like, let's move out and show the world what you have, because you probably are more than well equipped for what you're doing. And especially if you're looking for a new job, you're probably really well qualified, even if you don't think you are. So yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So cool. So cool. All right. For Aquarius, your fifth house of creativity, the joy of Venus, as they know it in ancient astrology. Also, the house of children and play and fun and enjoyment, really.
When?
You have the High Priestess. Wow. So there is going to be a revelation when it comes to how you enjoy yourself. It kind of feels as well your intuitive faculties and or gifts could really help you in something speculative. Now, don't go out and bet the house, the dog, and the kids on the roulette table, right? But if there's something that has, you know, like a little speculative energy to it or behind it, and you've got that money to put in it, remember it's a retrograde energy, so you want to be, you know, as cautious as you can. But if you have an intuition that something could really help you get ahead, because the fifth house is the house of luck as well, right? And also speculative sort of things that you can put out into the world. If you get a hot tip, if somebody shares a piece of information with you that is like, you know, I can't really tell you this, but it's inside knowledge between you and me, trust that, right? Especially with the High Priestess present. Okay.
When?
And for that, we have the Eight of Cups. All right. So when it comes to love and romance, which we also find in the fifth house, for some of you, this might be a discovery or a realization that a connection to somebody is not going to be what you thought it will be, or is not going to be what you would like it to be. And so this would be a time where really getting to grips with what something actually is will really help. Another way you could see this as well when it comes to speculative things, know when to walk away, right? Everybody knows when you go into a casino, when you put a bet on or anything like that, you got to know when enough's enough. Same energy.
Okay.
So for Aquarius, when?
All right. I'm going to do it one more time because it just didn't feel like it was right. So
Okay.
I got to do it the right way. My mother's an Aquarius and I know somebody else too. All
me.
right. Yep. Contribution. So I really like this energy because, I mean, the thing about it is that you are bringing your authentic self to the world. This is the creative role model. This is like, we have individual energy and it is so we talked about the 1222 and those energies. It's like just creating because you like it and that type of thing. And this is the same concept, but this is not just, I just can't create for myself. I feel like I need to share it as well. And this is you sharing yourself. Exactly. There's sort of all the same type of energy. This is you sharing yourself with the world and just sort of showing the world who you are. But the thing about this energy is that unless people are asking you for your sort of input, they may not receive you just right. So in other words, sometimes waiting for someone to say, oh, what do you have to say? Or what do you have to contribute or something like that. And then when people sort of hook on to that energy, they just kind of get in and they're just not going to leave because you have basically a brand new follower. And that's kind of what that energy is all about.
Love that. Love that. So if you're an Aquarius, wait for the invite. Once the invite comes, give them all the goods, give them all the juice, but not
Exactly.
before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. For Pisces, in your house or the fourth house of home, family, roots, your deep spiritual self,
When?
you have the Magician. All right. So powerful energy, right? What I love most about this is I really feel like you're starting to understand what home actually means to you. And sometimes home isn't necessarily a place, it's a person or a people. And I think this is really becoming evident for you guys over the, you know, over this whole time. I also feel like a lot of you might go through the process, because remember, this is Mercury, right? That's the Magician. You might go through the process now of emancipating yourself from your familial past. Not to, you know, not to say, oh, that's it, I'm breaking ties and I'm never going to speak to you again. but there's a sense here that you're cutting a bond or a tie that could really help you skyrocket for or in yourself.
When?
And we've got the Four of Swords, right? So taking a moment, right? Really taking a moment. Over this time, I want you to really be not even clear, you know, because none of us are really going to be clear until it's all kind of on its last legs and going forward. But take a moment to really take a moment, to take a breather, to ask yourself, what am I ready to release here from my personal, familial, ancestral past? For some of you, it might be soul wounds. For some of you, it might be ancestral traumas and stuff like that. This is, how do you transmute that energy now? How does your history stop being a prison and start being a step to the next level? For Pisces, when?
All right. Ooh. So this is basically, yeah, you getting the answer. So, and it's the fourth house too, right? Well, kind of cool, right? But yeah, it basically just says that you always want the answer. You want to know exactly what's happening, but the whole thing about answers is that when we're always focused on trying to get something, we usually don't get them. But when we just kind of let it go and let the universe show us what's happening, then that's when the answer to our questions come. And that's what it talks about. So,
Yeah, love
and
that.
it's calm, it's blue energy, and we could even talk about the throat with it sometimes, because like I put the blue in there as well, because it's not necessarily in the throat, but it is an energy that we can always be saying, oh, but like, what's the answer to this question? And you keep asking and that kind of thing, but it just says, be calm, the answers will come, clarity will come. So
Amazing. Love it. Wow. This has been, as always, amazing. Thank you so much, Denise. Guys, I hope you have loved this. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you get something out of it. And remember, this is going to be a process. We're talking about the next, at least 4 to 6 weeks now. So check back in with this video over that time to see how it marries up, to see where you're seeing these energies, trends, and themes in your own lives. Maybe how you see them play out, not only in your personal world, but also in the world as a collective. I hope this has given you some sort of foresight. I hope it's given you a whole load of insight as well. Look, Denise, where can people find your cards? Because I know a million people are going to ask.
Right now I have to wait because fortunately they're all sold out, but unfortunately we are in a lockdown here, and so I can't actually get more printed. But I will have on my website, denisematthew.com, it's usually right on the first page when they are back up. And what I might do is I might even do a video on my YouTube channel just to say they're up and going. And thank you so much for having me. I love talking, and I love human design, and I love hanging out with you. It's been really fun, and I'm so thrilled that you actually included me. So thank you.
No, thank you. So guys, head over to Denise's channel, hit the subscribe button. Trust me, you absolutely want to do this. What I love about your channel as well is the videos that you're making all accompany the cards. So if you want to get really good at reading them, to understand not only the cards, but human design as a whole system, you can really learn a lot from some really, quite frankly, truly wonderful content that you've made, I have to say. Thank you for being here. I look forward to having you back soon for the Eclipse talk as well. So stay tuned for that, guys. Take care, and I will see you all very soon.